Station, WTIM.
It's the WTIM Morning Show. I'm your host, Avery Cooper. Your stream brought to you by Landmark of Taylorville. You'll always do better with Landmark. And People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first. You'll find the streams on TaylorvilleDailyNews.com's Facebook or on YouTube at WTIM TV. University of Illinois Extension Unit Director Amanda Cole on the phone right now. Welcome back, Amanda.
Thank you so much for having me.
And lots going on with the University of Illinois Extension Office for Christian, Jersey, Macoupin, and Montgomery counties. Something that you may have touched on before, but I don't think we've really covered, Amanda, is your needs assessment. Tell me what that is.
So yes, as part of the University of Illinois Extension, we traditionally prepare an annual plan of work. And in order to develop that plan of work, we do both formal and informal needs assessment. This may be surveying, this may be hosting public meetings, maybe just doing kind of individualized interviews with key stakeholder groups. And what happened is the University of Illinois Extension decided, because there are 27 units in the field and each of us were doing it a little bit differently, to come up with a more formal system and to actually evolve from single-year plans of work to multi-year plans of work. And so we now do what is called a 3-year plan of work. And in order to put together that 3-year plan of work, we do an intense needs assessment. And so that actually started last year in 2022, in May and June, where we took a deep dive looking at data for the 4 counties that we serve, looking at, median household income, looking at information related to heart disease, diabetes, unemployment rates, those kind of things related to the 4 counties that we serve. Then later that fall, about August, September, we started conducting interviews. And so each member on our team, we have over 15 staff members that are part of the Unit 18 team, conducted a minimum of 5 interviews. So they were interviewing individuals who represented different partner organizations or potential partner organizations within the 4 counties that we serve. And then we also emailed out some of those survey questions to some key stakeholder groups. So we received over 100 responses back. And from that, the 4 top priorities or needs within the counties that we serve, the number 1 need that was identified was thriving youth.
I'm sorry, what was that?
2, thriving youth.
Thriving youth. We'll get into that. Okay. Sorry to interrupt you. Continue.
No, that's okay. I want to take a little bit deeper dive. Number 2 is workforce preparedness and advancement. Number 3 is chronic disease prevention and management. And number 4 is social and emotional health. And I think these were not a surprise to me. These are things that I assumed would rise to the top. You can listen to the radio station or watch other medias, and you can see a lot of news stories that really are related to these things and the importance of these things in our communities that we serve and represent here. And so knowing what those 4 things were, then we worked to develop what type of programming we can do to help move the needle related to these 4 issues. And we took a deeper dive to really defining, what each of this means, what this looks like, and therefore kind of matching things together. We've been working very closely with our Unit 18 Extension Council, which is an advisory board with representatives from all 4 counties. We had a pretty in-depth conversation in March, and then we will kind of finalize some plans in June. But yeah, I'll kind of maybe let you ask some questions since this is a new topic.
So prevailing youth, actually, that's a new term to me. Tell me what that is.
Thriving youth.
Thriving youth. Thank you. That is a new term to me. Tell me a little bit more about that.
So thriving youth means that you're not just having contact with youth, but they're actually thriving. They've figured out what their spark is, something they're interested in, and they're growing skill sets around that. So maybe it's agriculture. So maybe they're having opportunities to explore careers within agriculture and learn about educational opportunities within agriculture. Maybe it's something in STEM. Maybe it's robotics. And so we connect them with workshops and with possible spin clubs, which are special interest clubs, and then opportunities to showcase and build those skills. And so that's what thriving youth is. And so our definition in our unit is for a youth versus a thriving youth. A thriving youth is meaning that there are places for youth to explore and practice their spark, which is their interest, a place for youth to feel safe, a supportive young adult or adult who is mentoring the youth. So they have that important person in their life who is coaching them and encouraging them and helping them build skills. And then lastly, that they are mentally and physically healthy youth. And so our goal there is to not just increase the number of youth that are participating in 4-H, but that they're having an experience that leads them to thrive in their life and in their future. So we want to increase, of course, 4-H presence by having more clubs in parts of the counties that we serve that we don't currently have clubs in. We want to increase the number of volunteers so there can be more one-on-one or small group setting opportunities for that mentoring and coaching to occur. And then we want to increase the number of youth that are actually showing or exhibiting their skills that they have learned. So whether they're taking it to the county fair or to a special exhibit opportunity, as I shared earlier with robotics, that's something that sometimes the teams will go together and they'll compete at a statewide level. And then actually there's a national competition this year in Texas. And I know Illinois is sending 1 or 2 teams. So that's a goal in the future that, you know, Unit 18 will have a team that potentially is going to that national event. So that's what Thriving Youth is. So it's not just that we're having contact with them once, but we're actually nurturing them, mentoring them, and helping them grow their skills for success in the future.
Amanda, you should see my face on the stream right now. It's bright red because this whole time at first I thought you said Thriving Youth, USE, but now I realize you've been saying Thriving Youth as in young people. Anyway, moving on down along that line, your next needs assessment that you identified, I understand, was career development and identification and whatnot. Tell me a little bit more about that.
So workforce preparedness and advancement, what this means is we want individuals in the communities that we serve to have basic workforce development skills. These are communication skills, time management skills, problem-solving skills, and a basic understanding of diversity, equity, inclusion, and access. And so because of this was one of the reasons why, and I'll flow into it a little bit more later, but that we've hired a full-time community and economic development educator. And so they're going to be working in all 4 counties along with the other staff that are in the unit to provide more of these hands-on learning opportunities. So we want to partner with organizations, with businesses to offer trainings. You know, we have customer service training. We have engaging generations training where you learn about different generational preferences. So understanding that for both your consumer base, but then also for your employee teams. Colors, which is a personality training. And some of the programs will be targeted towards adults, people who are already in the workforce or potentially in the workforce, but then also with youth. A program that we do in this realm for youth is called Welcome to the Real World. And it's a simulation experience where we take you through, they pick a career, they understand about the education that is required in order to get into that career. Then they make in this safe environment life choices like, do they want to own a home or do they want to rent an apartment? Do they want to use public transportation? Do they want to buy a car? Do they want to buy a truck? Groceries, clothing. And so they learn budgeting, management skills. And they go through the whole process and they see that how important their career choice is in the outcomes that they will have in the future, you know, what that will mean in the future as to what type of house or what type of car they will potentially be able to afford. And they understand the importance of budgeting. And, you know, sometimes earlier choices impact how much money you have left at the end of the month. So those types of things in a safe learning environment. Also our I Dreams, I Create program that we do, which has just been piloted so far at Litchfield School District, and we're hoping to expand that throughout our unit. That is a program that introduces youth to creative thinking and dreaming about different careers and opportunities, and it's K through 12, and we build on and we bring in community leaders to help deliver some of those lessons. So workforce preparedness is that we want to make sure that we have a viable workforce so that people can have future lives that they want to have.
I want to talk more about your other 2 needs assessment goals in a moment, but let's kind of reflect here for a moment. What about your data showed that Thriving Youth and career development were 2 areas that you as the extension needed to continue to work on addressing?
So with Thriving Youth, we're finding out the data about the number of students in our schools that are homeless. And that can be quite alarming in some of the communities that we reach. The number of youth that may be living below or at the poverty line, and that can impact their ability for future success. And so that's why we want to, get them enrolled and engaged in an opportunity so they have a mentor, so they have a coach, so that they can set future goals, and that they can, gain skills and of things that interest them, so they have a future trajectory. A number that we also look in there that we receive. I'm trying to. Sorry, it slipped my mind for just a second, so it might come back.
Happens to me all the time.
It's called disengaged. I believe it's disengaged youth. And this is anyone over the age of 18 up to, I believe, either 22 or 23 who is not currently enrolled in college. So, they get out of high school and they could be part of the workforce, but they're not part of the workforce. And so in some areas where you may have large juvenile detention centers or incarcerated populations, that can impact the number. But for the units and the counties that we serve, we're in the double digits for that. And so that shows us that we need to work on focusing on building youth skills when they are youth, so that they are thriving, so they don't end up falling into that category and kind of just getting lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
And so that's why we really wanted to focus on that.
Sorry to interrupt you. It sounds like those two kind of go hand in hand in a way.
Yes.
Right. And I want to talk a little bit more about it. We do have to take a quick time out. That is Unit Extension Director of Christian, Jersey, Macoupin, and Montgomery counties, Amanda Cole. You're on the WTIM Morning Show. More from her after this short time out right here on WTIM, your information station.
WTIM. Your information station, WTIM.
It's the WTIM Morning Show. I'm your host, Avery Cooper. Your stream brought to you by People's Bank and Trust. They put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville. You'll always do better with Landmark. I have University of Illinois Extension Director Amanda Cole. She's the Director of Christian, Jersey, Macoupin, and Montgomery counties. And she's talking a little bit about the needs assessment that the unit recently addressed. And so we talked about thriving youth and we talked about workforce development. Now, tell me of the other two needs that you identified with your needs assessment, Amanda.
So the next two on the top four were chronic disease prevention and management. And what that means is our goal is to have individuals being more physically healthy, more active, consuming more fruits and vegetables, and having access to medical facilities. And our goal here, some numbers that we're going to be tracking is we actually hope to decrease the number of poor physical days. And this data is provided by the County Health Rankings and Roadmap on a national level. And then we want to increase healthy eating habits that support positive chronic disease management and prevention. And we'll track that by doing pre and post tests for individuals that take part in our programming. Lisa Peterson, who many of you should know, who was the acting county director, but is our full-time nutrition and wellness educator for the unit. She's really leading these efforts for chronic disease prevention and management. She does a lot of the programming in partnership with our area hospitals, wellness centers, park districts, libraries. She's done walking programs in some of our communities and has some of those planned in the future. I know she had a really successful cooking class around heart disease in February with the hospital in Taylorville. And they had a waiting list, and we're hoping to offer some more of those in the future. And then specifically doing some outreach with some of the cardiac rehab groups in Christian County, as well as some of the other counties and communities that we serve in the unit. So she's going to be really leading those efforts, but it's a lot of the programming that she does that helps support that, because our goal, of course, is to help individuals in the counties we serve have better physical health, make better consuming decisions, and access to facilities. And so with access to facilities, it's just about making them aware of those opportunities, and then if possible, working and leveraging those resources for the communities that we serve. So that's what we're doing in chronic disease prevention and management. Our federally funded SNAP Ed program also does fall in there. In that program, our staff go into eligible schools that are 50% or more free and reduced lunch status, and they teach youth about consuming more fruits and vegetables and about being physically healthy and about the importance of that. And then they also work with adults that are eligible for assistance. They do a lot of outreach at area food pantries. They'll have booths, informational booths that will show how you can take some of the products that you're going to receive at the food pantry and turn that into a healthy meal or a healthy snack, and then what that physical impact is by making those healthy food choices. So those are efforts in chronic disease prevention and management.
And what about your social and emotional health? What did you identify there?
So in social and emotional health, this is a pretty new realm for us, particularly here in Unit 18, and then in general for the University of Illinois Extension to be working in. But we know this is a growing need, not just in our four counties, but throughout the state of Illinois and throughout the nation. There's been a lot of talk and a lot of impact that COVID-19, of course, had on individuals due to a lot of the isolation that had to occur for safety reasons. And so social and emotional health is really rising to the top. And so in this realm, in this space, our vision is that we want individuals to know where to go for mental and emotional health. We want people to feel comfortable talking about their mental health, and we want to have teach social and emotional health and trauma-informed care. And so for that last one, the third one, is really working with our volunteer groups and our staff to get them trained on mental health first aid so that they can identify if they're working with an individual who is in crisis, so that they can address that and get the individual to the right resources within the communities that we serve. We will be working on doing some pre and post tests as we kind of build up. This is year one of this 3-year needs assessment or plan of work implementation. And this is one where we're doing a lot more of the efforts in year 2 and 3. On an exciting effort, something that falls into this space and into this realm is actually the sensory garden that's being built in Pana, Illinois. And there was a grant that was received with our Christian County Master Gardeners, and I believe they've spoken on the radio about that. But that sensory garden helps to support social and emotional health. And so it's going to be available to anyone who is in Pana or visiting the Pana community to go out and explore and kind of have a health experience out in nature. And so that's a project that helps support that and is in that space.
I am so sorry, Amanda. We are all out of time. I want to thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
As Amanda Cole, she's the Extension Director for Christian, Jersey, Macoupin, and Montgomery counties. It's the WTIM Morning Show.
WTIM.